On the Hawkeyes Sports Network from Learfield, this is the Fight for Iowa podcast, brought to you by Athletico Physical Therapy, proud partner of the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Big Ten Conference. Also by Iowa's Corn Farmers of the Iowa Corn Growers Association and Iowa Corn Promotion Board. You may think Iowa grows corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa. Also brought to you by Shields. We're right there with you in Des Moines, Sioux City, Iowa City, and Cedar Falls. This is the Fight for Iowa podcast. Here's the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
The fifth-ranked Iowa field hockey team can add another line to its glorious historical biography this weekend with a match at number one ranked Northwestern. Hall of Fame coach Lisa Cellucci stops by on this edition of the Fight for Iowa podcast in just a minute. The program is sponsored by Iowa Corn, Shields, and Athletico. I'll be right back.
More of the Fight for Iowa podcast after this.
Oh, you know that old injury of yours? The one in your knee or maybe back? Instead of going to the doctor and then doing physical therapy, why not start with therapy first? Athletico Physical Therapy is changing the whole healing process around. Their physical therapists will find the source of your pain and help fix it. Start with them and start living pain-free. Just like that.
It all starts with Athletico Physical Therapy. Schedule your free assessment at athletico.com. No prescription needed. Proud partner of the Iowa Hawkeyes.
This is the Fight for Iowa podcast. Here's the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
The Big Ten is by far the best in the country, top to bottom, for women's field hockey, with 7 of the 9 programs ranked in the top 15, and 4 of those rated in the top 7. Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock, 5th-ranked Iowa travels to Evanston to face number 1 Northwestern. The match will be televised by the Big Ten Network. Coach Lisa Cellucci's Hawkeyes have momentum after whipping Indiana last Friday 5-1 and stand 6-1 on their year. The only loss to number 2 North Carolina.
The contributions are coming from all over the field, starting with the defense and goaltending, led by Big Ten Defender of the Week and fifth-year senior Ante Nizel. The Iowa D has pitched 3 shutouts and had a 4-game stretch where it allowed 5 or fewer shots. Senior Grace McGuire has 20 now career shutouts in goal. Junior Alex Wisniewski leads the team in scoring with 7 goals. She and Annika Herbine are the Hawkeyes' top point getters. Coach Lisa Cellucci, herself a former Hawkeye great, won her 100th career match at Iowa a couple weeks back. Cellucci knows you win championships with staunch defense.
It's definitely been a hallmark of Iowa field hockey for a long, long time, but, specifically for the last couple years when we have Ante Nizel and Loka Strybos and Grace McGuire in goal, those guys have been unbelievable, and even Harper Dunn for the last 2 years. So, we're going on a streak here of not giving up many shots or penalty corners or goals, and that's what we like to see. From our forward line all the way down, they have to play good defense, and we really pride ourselves on transition and being able to tackle back, but really in our red zone defense and our deep defense, it's poise, it's presence, it's physicality, and those guys, we have a quite a tall back line for field hockey standards. We have like 2 6-foot student athletes and a 5'8" right there, so they cover some big ground, and it's really just being organized.
And it helps to have upper class representatives. You mentioned Ante Nizel. I mean, I've been following her for a couple years now out of the Netherlands. She's the Big Ten Defender of the Week, Defensive Player of the Week, and this is her 6th award in that area.
Yeah, and she's been fantastic. 2-time Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, Big Ten Player of the Year last year. So, to have someone like on our side, we're trying to figure out a way to dye her hair and get her a 6 year of eligibility because we're not sure what's going to happen when she's done. But she is fantastic and has been the anchor back there big time. We have very high expectations coming in. Just we returned most of our players from last year, except for 2 big All-Americans, which are goal scorers. But so far, with the defense that we have and the experience we have, our goals are to compete for another Big Ten championship and find our way into the NCAA tournament and hopefully get to the Final Four.
Iowa's only loss has been to number 2 North Carolina. Now the Hawkeyes travel to Northwestern next Friday to face the top-ranked Wildcats. Certainly no issue with the Hawks' strength of schedule. In fact, 7 of the 9 Big Ten field hockey teams are ranked in the top 15 presently. 4, including the Hawkeyes, are rated in the top 7. For Hawkeyes, Grace McGuire, Ante Nizel, Loka Strybos, and Esme Gibson were this week named to the National Field Hockey Coaches Association watch list. Iowa field hockey, one of the nation's very best. Again.
Top-ranked Northwestern is 8-0 and has won 12 straight matches following victories over Penn and Princeton last week. This is going to be some collision with Iowa's defense, led by Defender of the Week Ante Nizel and goalie Grace McGuire. Northwestern features three-time All-American Bente Bakers, the back-to-back Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week, and like Nizel, a native of the Netherlands. Bakers has 4 more goals and 10 more points than her nearest individual competitor nationally. Nizel hopes to have something to say about that on Friday. The Fight for Iowa podcast returns after an important word from our sponsors.
More of the Fight for Iowa podcast after this.
There's a sense of pride that comes from the life of a farmer. How many people can say they have a famous tan named after them, or be known for their wave when they drive past neighbors and strangers alike on a 2-lane road? Whether it's a farmer's tan or the farmer's wave, we are proud to be known for a lot of things. We feel that pride every night at the dinner table, knowing we feed our family and yours. Iowa Corn is proud to be on the sidelines cheering on the Iowa Hawkeyes. In Iowa, we grow corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa.
This is the Fight for Iowa podcast. Here's the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
Former coach, now Alabama Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville and Democrat counterpart Joe Manchin of West Virginia met recently with the National Athletic Directors Association in Washington on the creation of a uniform nationwide set of rules that would govern NIL, name, image, and likeness, the income-producing process for student athletes. Manchin and Tuberville plan to introduce legislation that would level the playing field. Iowa Athletic Director Gary Barta was among those in attendance.
Those two are working together. It's one of the few things I've seen where the Democrats and Republicans are working together to come up with a way to have a national name, image, and likeness law that's the same across the board so that competitiveness can, we can zero in. So we'll get there. It's a little bumpy right now, but I'm confident, one, it's here to stay. Our student athletes are going to do it the right way, and I'm confident that this is going to work its way out.
Presently, 30 to 35 states have their own set of rules apropos to NIL. There is a lot of imbalance. Hopefully, Congress can present a bill that all schools can abide by. Recently, University of Iowa rolled out the Swarm Collective as its NIL support fund for the hundreds of Hawkeye student athletes. A final thought on this week's Fight for Iowa is next.
More of the Fight for Iowa podcast after this.
Here we go. Exciting adventures await. Grab your bucket list and keep the fun going all summer long. Pitch a tent, grab a sleeping bag, and sleep as a family under the stars. Fire up the grill and host a backyard barbecue. Visit a local trail for a hike or a drive to a state park for an all-day family adventure. With all there is to do this summer, we encourage you to get outside and make new memories. Whatever you do this summer, Shields is right there with you.
This is the Fight for Iowa podcast. Here's the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
Former Iowa wrestler Thomas Gilman, a 3-time All-American and Big Ten champion, claimed a silver medal at 57 kilograms recently at the Senior World Championships in Belgrade, Serbia. Gilman lost a 7-2 decision in the finals to an Albanian after rolling to the championship round with 11-0, 5-1, and 8-2 wins over competitors from Australia, Mongolia, and China. Gilman adds the silver to his freestyle resume. The Council Bluffs native won silver in 2017, a 2020 Olympic bronze in Tokyo, and a 2021 World Championship. That's it for this week's Fight for Iowa podcast. We're back next week with another edition. I'm Gary Dolphin. Go Hawks.
Hawkeye fans, remember to hit the subscribe button on your favorite podcast app. Once you become a Fight for Iowa podcast subscriber, you'll automatically receive the latest episodes of the Fight for Iowa podcast, the Hawkeyes Voice podcast, Hawk Talk replays, exclusive game day content, and more. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Hawkeye Sports Network.